Okay, I'm really excited about this lesson, and I hope you enjoy it as I hope you enjoy learning it as much as I'm going to enjoy teaching it. The reason I like it is because it's kind of fresh. We've kind of done some stuff like this before, but it's really kind of outside the box a little bit of where we've been. And if you're somebody who is a visual learner, I think you'll really like this. All right, so let's get going. The first thing it says that we need to do is graph a parent function. Now, a parent function is just a basic function, just a basic graph. Really no extra numbers in there. We're not moving it around at all, just the basic. So the first one is y equals x. And if I were to graph that one, it would be a perfectly straight line like that. All right, that's the line y equals x. Now, I'm going to do my best here, but they're not going to be perfect, all right? So the next one, y equals x squared. Well, that starts here. That's a parabola that is going to look like this. Okay, that's a parabola. That's y equals x squared. The next one is y equals x to the third. And that one is going to look like there we go. That one's going to look like that. All right, so here's what I want you to see so far. If I kind of look at how many parts these have, it kind of matches the exponents, all right? And with parent functions, it's a little bit hard to tell what it means when I say parts, all right? But as we start moving these around, maybe you'll get to see them a little bit more. First of all, what's the exponent on y equals x? That exponent is a 1, right? If there's not an exponent there that you can see, it's always 1. And how many parts are there on that graph? There's just 1. It's a straight line. It just keeps on going. Y equals x squared. The exponent is a 2, and how many does that have? How many parts? Well, there's a part going down, and there's a part going back up. So there's kind of 2 parts. Y equals x squared. Y equals x to the third. It's a little bit harder to see this, but it goes up. That's one part. And then it kind of flattens off a little bit right in the middle. That's the second part. And then it starts going back up steeper again. That's 3 parts. Okay, so y equals x to the third. Now I'm going to graph the green one. Kind of to stick with this pattern, maybe you'll get this, maybe you won't. But a square root is actually an exponent of a half. Okay, it's actually an exponent of a half. And the square root function looks like this. Okay, that's what a square root function is. And notice it stops right in the middle. Okay, it doesn't have a negative value. It looks like only half a graph. And remember what I said the exponent is for square root? It's a half. All right, so that's kind of those basic ones. Now, how about the absolute value, the yellow one? All right, so far, let's just review. X to the first. That's just a straight line, okay? Just like that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm backwards, so it's going to look like that. Y equals x to the first, just looking like that. Y equals x squared, 2 parts. Parabola, down and up. Y equals x to the third. Going to start down at the bottom and go up and make a curve like that. So goes up, flattens out, and then comes back up. 3 parts. Y equals the square root of x. That's just half of a graph. Y equals absolute value of x. Now this is fun. Absolute value, what are the initials? If we were to abbreviate absolute value, because I don't want to write this out every time. If I were to abbreviate that, I would probably abbreviate it as AV. Like, would that make sense? Okay, so AV, let's just abbreviate absolute value as AV. Guess what shape an absolute value graph has? AV. It makes AV. Absolute value, AV, makes AV for the graph. We start right here in the middle, and it goes up, and it actually follows that y equals x line. and then comes back the same way, going like that. And you see how it makes a V? Pretty cool. Kind of nice when things are that easy to remember. So we're going to work with those parent graphs and just kind of see what happens if we can move them. All right, so let's look at this one. So y equals x plus 5. I see the parent graph in there. The parent graph, I know, is y equals x. Just that straight line going through there like that. But what about the plus 5? Okay, so if we have a number out there at the end, that's going to affect our y value, okay? And so y goes up and down, and since that says plus 5, which way do you think plus 5 is going to go, up or down? Yeah, you're right. Plus would mean go up. So we're going to move this up 5. So I'm just going to take a point right there, right in the middle. That's where you're going to see me work all of these. And I'm going to move that up 5 and then draw the exact same line. Okay, so our parent graph started down there at the bottom, and the plus 5 just moved it up there. So that is y equals x plus 5. Let's look at the next one. Y equals x squared minus 2. Well, if you remember what the x squared function looked like, whoops, it didn't change. If you remember what the x squared function looked like, it kind of looks like this. That's what y equals x squared. But now we've got a number at the end by itself. That's going to change the y. So minus 2, what do you think that's going to, is that going up, or you got it? It's going to go down, right? It's going to go down too. So again, I'm going to start right there at that middle point, at 0, 0, and I'm going to work it down 2, and then just draw the exact same graph, looking like that. All right, so it was the exact same parent function, parent graph, but we just had to move it down 2. Let's look at y equals x to the third plus 4. So remember what our y equals x to the third looks like. It's kind of got 3 parts to it, just like that. The steep part at first, then the flat part, and then the steep part. So that's y equals x to the third. But now, how do we go y equals x to the third plus 4? So we've got that plus 4 at the end. So I think I heard you already say it. We move it up 4. So this middle point right here, move it up 4 and sketch the exact same graph up there. That's what it looks like. All right, so let me erase those, clean it up. So we just have the same parent function, right? It's the same shape of graph. All we've done is move it up or down based on what that last number tells us to do. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is, instead of having that number at the end, we're going to move that number in with the x. All right, so notice especially the blue and the red functions here. Those are the ones we're going to be working with next. So instead of that number being out at the end, way out here by itself like it is now, we're going to move it in with the x. So let's look at this one. Y equals x minus 2 squared. Okay, now I see the parent function that I see is the x squared. So remember what that one looked like. That one just looked like this, just a basic parabola. That's our parent function. Now, since the minus 2 here is with the x, since it's with the x inside the parentheses, it's going to affect our x value going left or right. So since it's a minus 2, which way is it going to go? Well, negatives go to the left, right? So that would be the obvious answer, except x is going to say, wrong answer, okay? I know it makes total sense to do that, but it actually is going to do the opposite. Okay, so with the x's, wrong answer, it's going to make it go the opposite way. So instead of going to the left 2, like a negative would make it seem, we're actually going to go to the right 2. So I'm going to take this point right here, and I'm going to move it over 2 spots, and I'm just going to sketch our graph over here. Okay, so remember, if it's in with the x, that's going to tell us left or right, to move it left or right. And remember, x is are opposite, okay? Wrong answer, got to move it opposite. So let's look at the blue. Well, I see that the parent function is x to the third. I like x to the third. I don't know why, but that's one of my favorite graphs to draw. Just like the way it curves. All right, that's y equals x to the third. Now, we've got a plus 4 in there, and it's inside with the x. So remember, the x is wrong answer, right? Like it's not going to make sense. So the plus 4, it would make sense to me to move it to the right 4, because that's where the positive numbers are, but x's are opposite. So instead of moving to the right 4, we're going to move to the left 4. And we're going to take this point right here in the middle, move it left 4, and move it over here. And by the way, notice that every time the point that I'm choosing to use is that origin point, okay? You don't have to use it, but it's definitely the easiest point to use, okay? It'll work with any point, but that's the one that's going to be easy, the one you're going to want to use. So right here, we moved it to the left 4, and we'll just sketch that same graph over here. All right, so that's what we've got. Y equals x minus 2 squared. The minus 2 is going to slide it to the right because it's in with the x, so that's going left or right, and we've got to do the opposite with the x. And the x plus 4 to the third, since it's with the x, it's moving left or right, and it's going the opposite, so we've got to go to the left 4. All right, now let's put it all together and let's get kind of crazy with this. All right, so first of all, with that black function, what's our parent function? Well, it's going to be an x squared because that's the exponent that I see. So remember what that parent function looks like. Just like this. Okay, now we've got a minus 2 out here all by itself. That's going to move us up or down, right? Minus 2 is going to be going down 2, so I'm going to take that dot and move it down there too. And then inside the parentheses with the x, so now we're going left and right, is another minus 2. And remember, x is wrong answer. X's are going backwards, okay? So minus 2 seems like it would go to the left 2, but wrong answer. We got to go to the right 2. So we're going to move it over here 2. That's our new base point. And from here, let's just sketch the graph of x squared out here like that. Okay. Oh, my graph got a little bit short right there. That's that. X minus 2 squared minus 2. Now let's do the blue one. Again, one of my favorite ones. The parent function, I see an x to the third. So we know what x to the third looks like. It's just kind of got 3 parts there. Steep, flat, steep, right? And so I know that's what it is. Now let's see. Out here by itself, we've got a plus 2. That's with the y, so that's going to go up 2. So I'm going to move this main point right here up 2. And then the plus 4, x plus 4, it's with the x, so we're going to go left or right. And the plus 4 would make sense to go right because that's where the positives are, but x is wrong answer. It's opposite. Instead of going right 4, we're going to have to go left 4. Whoops, left 4 right there. And so I'll sketch my graph from here. Okay, that's what it looks like. So I'll erase this parent function. And those are our 2 graphs now. X minus 2 squared minus 2, that's the black function right there. And x plus 4 to the third plus 2 is right there. Okay, not bad at all. And that's the end of our lesson for today. All right, good luck.